नमस्कार, सत श्री अकाल, आदाब, खम्मा गणी और राम राम सा। सुनाओ अपनी कहानी, बनाओ अपनी पहचान की इस मुहिम में फिर हाजिर है हम एक नई कहानी के साथ। और ये कहानी है तुषार परांजपे की सफलता के बारे में। दोस्तों, आपको बता दें ये बतौर स्क्रीन राइटर और डायरेक्टर अपने इस करियर को आगे बढ़ा रहे हैं। ये बतौर स्क्रीन राइटिंग टीचर पुणे के फिल्म टेलीविजन इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ इंडिया FTII में पढ़ाते भी हैं। दोस्तों, ये पिछले 8-9 सालों से इस फील्ड में कार्यरत है और इस इंडस्ट्री में आने की इनकी एक बड़ी वजह इनका अकेलापन रहा है। जी हाँ, उसे दूर करने के लिए इन्होंने इस इंडस्ट्री का रुख किया। यही इनका कंफर्ट जोन था। दोस्तों, आपको बता दें बचपन से ही इन्हें मराठी और हिंदी फिल्में देखना बेहद पसंद था। फिर इनकी रुचि थिएटर में विकसित हुई। इन्होंने अपने स्कूल टाइम में लगभग 12 से 13 साल की उम्र में ही थिएटर ग्रुप ज्वाइन कर लिया और वहां परफॉर्म करना इन्हें बेहद पसंद था। दोस्तों, जब इन्होंने अपने अंदर छुपी उस प्रतिभा को पहचाना और जब इन्हें पता चला कि यही मेरा कंफर्ट जोन है जिसमें रहते हुए मुझे आगे बढ़ना है, तो ये पता लगने के बाद ये अपनी उन खूबियों को निखारते हुए आगे बढ़ते चले गए। आपको बता दें, इन्होंने अपने करियर के प्रारंभिक वर्षों में मराठी फिल्म इंडस्ट्री में बतौर असिस्टेंट डायरेक्टर भी काम किया। मराठी फिल्म किल्ला लेखक के रूप में तुषार की पहली फिल्म थी, जिसे 2014 में बर्लिन इंटरनेशनल फिल्म फेस्टिवल में क्रिस्टल बेयर अवार्ड मिला। वहीं इस फिल्म ने 2015 में बेस्ट मराठी फीचर फिल्म का नेशनल अवार्ड भी जीता। आपको बता दें, ये मराठी फीचर फिल्म पिकासो के क्रिएटिव डायरेक्टर थे। इस फिल्म को भी नेशनल अवार्ड मिल चुका है। अगर बात करें हिंदी फिल्मों में इनके काम की, तो आपको बता दें बतौर स्क्रीन राइटर चंडीगढ़ करे आशिकी हिंदी फिल्मों में इनकी पहली फिल्म थी। तो इस तरह फिल्म इंडस्ट्री में इनके इस सफर की एक अच्छी शुरुआत हुई और अपने इस सफर को दोस्तों ये आज भी जारी रखे हुए हैं। तो ये कुछ खास बातें थी स्क्रीन राइटर एंड डायरेक्टर तुषार परांजपे की इस जर्नी से जुड़ी, जो हमने आप सभी के साथ साझा की। अब आइए दोस्तों, सीधा मुलाकात करते हैं इनसे और सुनते हैं पूरी कहानी इनकी अपनी जुबानी।
Okay, hi. So my name is Tushar Paranjape and I'm a screenwriter and also a director. And I also work as a screenwriting teacher. I also used to teach at the screenwriting department in Film and Television Institute of India, FTII, Pune, which is my alma mater. I also studied in FTII. I studied screenwriting in FTII. And Chandik, I have been in the industry for the past, let's say, 8-9 years. I also used to assist before, work as an assistant director before, mainly in the Marathi film industry. And Killa was my first film as a writer, which was a Marathi film, which had won the Crystal Bear Award in Berlin International Film Festival in 2014, and also won the Best Film National Award in 2015. I also did a Marathi film called Picasso as a creative director, which also won the national award last year, special mention. Chandigarh Kare Aashiki is my first film as a screenwriter, first Hindi film as a screenwriter. So yeah, that's about it. I work from Bombay, and I continue to work as a screenwriting teacher, as a visiting faculty. I think a part of childhood which I think connected me the most with filmmaking is my loneliness. Is the fact that I used to feel like an outsider everywhere, and I was a very introverted person. Though there was one phase in my childhood during my school days where I used to have a lot of friends, but still I used to be very, very inside. I used to feel very sort of disconnected. So you obviously search for a comforting space, and that comforting space for me was always films, because to be honest, I was not much of a reader till I was 15 or 16. After that, I got into I started but during my schooling days, it was mostly films, and I'm a 90s kid, so I mostly grew up watching Hindi and Marathi mainstream films and also few Hollywood films. But that was my sort of staple diet, and I used to watch anything and everything, which used to sort of probably help me transport into a different world and make me feel comfortable. I think that's what contributed the most. And of course, having said this, of course I was also connected with theatre. Since my childhood, since I was 12 and 13, I was a part of a theatre group. So I used to perform. I used to, I was part of that culture as well. So I was, of course, used to watch a lot of plays also. And later during my college days, I think I got more connected with theatre, because there is a good, very nice theatre culture in Pune. There are lots of intercollegiate competitions. There's a whole culture around it. So I think that helped me a lot. That also gave me a confidence that I can do something. So yeah. And when I think I was around 18, 19. That's when I got exposed to NFI. Fortunately, since I'm in Pune, the National Film Archive of India is in Pune, and it was very nearby. And once you turn 18, you can have a membership there, and when start watching film. And that's the point where obviously I got gradually started getting exposed to world cinema, and that was altogether a different world. And the work there is something which I had never seen. But I remember when I was in last year of engineering. I was 2021, and when one of my friend introduced me to Bergman's film, and I think watching those films, Wild Strawberries and Persona and Cries and Whispers, after watching those films, I felt like, I would like to do something like this. Maybe Bergman's films also, used to deal with the dark aspects of relationships, and maybe I got connected with that the most. The films were very intense, very theatrical. So I think that was definitely the point when I felt really connected. The journey has been really long-winded, to be very honest, because after engineering, I was also working. I was working in Infosys. So then I took a sabbatical for a year. Then I started working as an assistant director. Then I again did the job for some few months. Then I finally left the job. Then I came to Bombay. Then again started assisting. Then I came to FTI. Then I studied in FTI. And then my journey started in filmmaking. So my journey has been like, and then, after my first film, Marathi film, I sort of took a hiatus of a couple of years, and I again went into academics sort of. Because I felt, to be very honest, I felt that I need to know more about the craft. And as a teacher, I think I learned a lot more than what I learned as a student. And FTI, I also wanted to spend more time in that space. FTI. So luckily, I got that opportunity. So, like you can easily notice, my journey has been like really, not a very straight path. And the difference. I have. To answer your question, what is the difference between Marathi and Hindi film industry? In Marathi, of course, you get a lot more freedom to do what you want to do, because the stakes are less. Of course, in Marathi industry also there is one section which is like totally mainstream. But of course, in regional cinema there is a larger space where you can express your ideas, and you can do a small film. That scope is there. In Hindi films, of course, it's more about because you have to, the stakes are higher simply. So there's the freedom to even if you are exploring something different, you even if you take example of Chandigarh Ashiki, that to deal with that subject, if I was dealing with that subject in the Marathi space, the treatment would have been a lot different. So I think that is the major difference which I see between Marathi and Hindi film industry professionally. But to be very honest, there is more bandwidth to grow in Hindi, in the Hindi arena. If you know what I mean. Professionally, of course, you have more, and you reach obviously you reach a larger audience, and you want, as a creative person, to tell stories to a larger audience. So for me, it is a great learning experience working in the Hindi film industry. But like, for example, like the film which I'm planning to direct right now, that's a Marathi film, because like my world is still, I feel more comfortable there if like when I'm expressing my own ideas. But of course, I'm in this space right now. I don't know what space I'll be in 3 years down the line or 5 years down the line. It's still happening. The struggle is still happening. I think we are all figuring it out. After the awards also, I've been receiving calls from my friends or my seniors, and whoever is a writer, and we are discussing about the same things, how the struggle is still the same. You constantly struggle between that survival mode. See, as a creative person, you always want to be in that pure creative space where you're only thinking about what sort of work, what sort of stories you want to tell, in what sort of treatment you want to explore, what sort of genres you want to explore, what sort of ideas you really want to explore. But that pure space, I think probably it takes obviously time as you have more work under your belt. Then probably you get into that space. I'm yet to be there. This is just a beginning for me. So the struggle is still there, and but yeah, the effort is that only. Of course, you have to survive in a city like Bombay. It is difficult to survive, and for writers it becomes more difficult, because writers are the only people in the filmmaking discipline, and to a certain extent directors, who come on board on a project before it is greenlit. So the strike rate of writers is very, very less, because there are so many things. Like last year, there are so many projects which you work on for 1 year, 1.5 years. Like yesterday, one of my seniors was telling me that she was working on a series for 1.5 years, and that project got shelved. And it could be any reason. It could be financial. These days, it could be political reasons. So it is very difficult. But the effort is that only, that still within that all the constraints, you try to really do the work which you want to do, and try to express the ideas authentically and honestly, but at the same time try to reach out to the maximum audience. So for my first experience, was very beautiful, and that way I got very lucky, because immediately after passing out from FTII, so the director of the film, Avinash Arun, who is a well-known director and a cinematographer, who's a director of Patal Lok, co-director of Patal Lok as well. So he was a senior in FTI, and he had this concept. So he approached me, and we got talking, and then I started writing, and we got the producer also, like within 8 months of development. So that was a very smooth process, and that film got a lot of love from the audience and from the critics. So that experience was very pleasant. But that doesn't happen too often. It happens very rarely. Then that struggle is to, again, find the right collaborators, to also to mount the project is also very, not every time. Like, I don't know whether a film like Killa would find a producer so easily right now. So that struggle is always there. This one, I don't know whether you would call it a mistake, but as a creative person, I think it is very important to fight for your voice, and that I think I sort of lack often. That because you are working in collaboration, and there are professional obligations, so it is a tough battle always. But as a writer, as a creative person, everyone should be everyone should sort of be honest with what they really feel and what they really stand for. I think that is something which I won't call it a mistake, but I feel that that's a flaw which I would really like to overcome in the coming years, and where it gets to a point where because obviously as a writer, as a screenwriter, see, filmmaking is a director's medium, unlike a novel or let's say even a web series to a certain extent. But there are so many layers of creative people in web series space. Also, there is a showrunner, there are platforms, there are executives. So as a writer, of course, if you're a showrunner, then you have a more creative control over your narrative, over voice. So there are obviously limitations, but still within operating that limitations, I think I should be more adamant, maybe, which I'm not. I'm not as adamant as I should be as a creative person. Not in a personal sense, but you know what I mean. Yeah. I think I should see. For me, first of all, since I had done my engineering and I was also working in post. I was living a very different life. I never wanted that life. I had to, be in that life for certain reasons. But then now when I got here and got into FTI, then I started working. So to be able to, work, to be able to sort of do what I really love to do, and to lead a lifestyle which I always wanted to live. So that actually makes me feel very happy and grateful. So that intensity of struggle also sort of lessens, because for me it's like I'm able to do what I want to do, and I'm able to live the way I want to live. Because screenwriting is actually, filmmaking is actually a very enriching way of living your life, right? Because you're engaging with life itself, and you're interested in everything, right? From gardening to politics to food, you are interested in everything, because that is a part of life. You get to see a lot, you get to read a lot, you get to meet different people. So you have to think a lot. You get to introspect a lot. These things, I think, the fact that I'm able to live that life, I don't know whether you call it achievement or not, but I feel very grateful and very very happy about that. And yes, achievement would be that despite all the struggles and all the uncertainty, I'm still able to wake up in the morning, and when I sit in front of my desk and write for 3-4 hours, I feel happy. And if I don't do that, I feel very restless, and I feel very empty. I think that is the achievement. And the fact that I feel like I know with every passing year, I'm more aware that I know less. I think that is the achievement. Because I would say that. This is a very personal thing, but I feel, because just the other way I was thinking, what are those things which are, if you take away all the recognition and all the whatever the professional success achievement aside, then what is it in life that I would personally like to do? Then the answer is very simple for me, that I would always like to learn something or the other. And the fact that I'm able to do that here is, I'm happy with that. So it depends person to person, the kind of advice one needs. So it is very difficult, to be honest, to give a generic advice. But I would say that it is very, just be aware that it is very difficult to survive in Mumbai or probably any other regional industry as a screenwriter, especially when you are beginning. So that awareness would probably help one to figure out how to navigate this. Probably having something else going on as a profession might also sometimes also helps a lot of people. And taking care of oneself is an extremely important thing as a screenwriter, which I feel, to maintain that mental sanity, because it takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of time to establish yourself professionally, and more importantly, to find your voice also it takes a lot of time. So it's a multi-layered struggle. So in that multi-layered struggle, it's very important to take care of mental sanity as any creative person, because I mean, you would be aware that, you know, like the recent news, which like what happened in FTI, like yesterday only, like one student committed suicide. Like 1 month before, also another student had suicide. So as a creative person, it is very difficult. So, you know, to maintain, one piece of advice I can definitely give as a screenwriter: be connected with the community of creative people, as writers, directors, actors, be it any, it could be anyone, and try to be, you know, with people who are, you know, who align with your sensibilities. But be with people, be connected with your community. That will help you as a creative person, help you grow, and also help you professionally. Because to be honest, whatever work I have gotten till now is mostly through references, and that's how, you know, fortunately or unfortunately, I don't know, but that's how, you know, sort of work happens. Also, because in the creative field, you would, but I also understand that now after 8-9 years, that you would also want to work with people who you are comfortable with, and who, you know, sensibility wise you match. So that's a, don't be, you know, don't isolate yourself, and just be connected, and just be aware that it's going to take time. First, I think we have to understand that writing, especially screenwriting, I'm actually can talk only about screenwriting, not novel writing or short story writing. About screenwriting is mainly about rewriting. So when you are actually, you know, feel a flaw, or you don't know, you lost objective, and it happens a lot of times. So for me, it's like I do have a set of friends from film background or non-film background who I share my work with, and to get different perspective, that often, you know, leads to discussion, and that, you know, gives you some perspective which helps you, you know, then look at your material differently, approach it differently, or you get new ideas, and then you can, you know, start reworking on it. Or sometimes it also very important that you just keep the material away. You know, you just that's why it is very important. People, we don't work on one idea right at a time. We are working on and that's also necessary, because each idea, you know, takes a lot of time to grow. So if you are, you know, the idea is not going anywhere, you just keep it aside, you know, for some time. You don't even think about it, then revisit it, then read it yourself, then you yourself, you know, get to know a lot of things, because, you know, you're reading it as a fresh reader. Then you only realize, oh, what have I written, or oh, this idea is actually something, or this is what I actually want to, or structurally it is going wrong here, or character wise this character is not working, all these things. So because the idea is that only once you get objective about your work, then the ideas might flow in a better. It's taught me to market myself. I mean, there are many people, to be honest. There are first of all the filmmakers who I assisted, the Marathi filmmakers, Sumitra Bhave, Sunil Sutankar, Sachin Gundalkar, Sandeep Sawant. From all these people, I learned different things. I learned the craft of filmmaking. I learned the process of filmmaking. And there's this film teacher, he's a veteran film teacher, very popular film teacher in Pune, called Samar Nakhate. He, I think, what he taught me that I don't know anything, is what he taught me was personally and professionally and creatively, which was at the beginning of my journey. So that helped me immensely, that I knew that I don't know anything. So I, you know, just need to keep learning. And then of course, when I came to FTI, my screenwriting teachers, Anjum Raja and Ashwini and Kubal Chaudhary, and all my seniors also from FTI, who are always there. Like the FTI screenwriting community is a very tight-knit, close-knit community, who are always there to, you know, mentor you, when you are going through some personal professional struggles, because there are seniors, there are juniors, so you also try to be there for juniors in whatever way capacity you can. And personally also, if you are feeling lost in a city like Bombay, these people are there. And that's why I said, as a screenwriter, I also realized that importance of having a community, having people who can, that go-to people basically. So it's very necessary to have those. I'm a very disciplined person in the sense I stick to a routine. So in a day also I feel like sort of relaxing and taking a break from work. I work out regularly. I go for a run, which I enjoy a lot. I'm keenly interested in Buddhism. I've been studying Buddhism for 7 years. So that is something I regularly engage with. I also do practice Buddhism. So I do meditate also. So these are the things which I think, apart from the regular things which you do as a normal person to just unwind yourself. I sometimes very occasionally I paint also. So these are the things which I do, which sort of makes me keep going and makes me feel like I'm good. I don't want to sound very lofty or anything, but there's this line by this Buddhist monk, 2nd century monk, called the line is emptiness is compassion. So emptiness is basically the core, if you're aware, it's the core philosophy of Buddhism. And which obviously I'm at a very, very nascent stage of learning it. So that is something which always, stays with me. Of course, I mean, probably I won't even achieve it or realize it in this life, but that is something which I keep in my mind. And also the second line, which I don't know whether it is Dostoevsky's line or Tolstoy's line, but I always, especially being in filmmaking, I remember that line always, that it's always better to lead a unhappy life, which is by your own choice, than to lead a happy life which is dictated by others. So yeah, that keeps me going, because in filmmaking there are so many days where you feel low and there is so much uncertainty, but then you remind yourself, yeah, this is the life I have chosen, and so whatever that gives you a lot of a sense of freedom and sense of confidence also. Whatever it is, jo bhi hai kar lenge. It's not necessarily every story has to be successful. So yeah, whatever, I don't know whether it is like a life lesson or something, but I'm again going back to from what I have learned and which have made a lot of sense to me while studying Buddhism, which I personally feel that we are so obsessed with success and pleasure and gain, actually doesn't give us happiness. And if happiness is actually lies in just being joyful and just being loving towards yourself and others. But our conditioning is so we are one life lesson, now I can articulate it, that we are the victims of our conditioning, and we have to break out of it if we have to lead a happy and a useful and meaningful life. For me, yes, I can say that, because I have obviously, like many others, I have also got this Brahminical patriarchal upbringing. So yeah, I think that is very harmful, not helpful at all. Also for men, which men don't realize. I mean, recently we won a Best Story Filmfare Award for our film Channugad. I won the award along with Superdeep Singh and Abhishek Kapoor, who is also the director.
दोस्तों, आज हमने जाना एक स्क्रीन राइटर एंड डायरेक्टर तुषार परांजपे की सफलता की कहानी के बारे में। ऐसी ही प्रेरक कहानियां रोजाना सुनने के लिए हमारा चैनल सब्सक्राइब करें और बेल आइकन ज़रूर दबाएं। और अगर आज की ये कहानी आपको पसंद आई है तो इसे लाइक, कमेंट और शेयर करना ना भूलें। दोस्तों, अब आप भी बन जाइए भारत की प्रोफेशनल कम्युनिटी की आवाज़ और सुनाओ अपनी कहानी, बनाओ अपनी पहचान की इस मुहिम से जुड़कर अपने जीवन के अनुभवों, करियर यात्रा, अपने उत्पादों एवं सेवाओं के पीछे की वास्तविक कहानी से देशवासियों को प्रेरित करें और अपनी एक नई पहचान बनाएं। Tell your story, inspire and build your brand with the power of video. जय हिंद, जय भारत।